Welcome to the Journal of Biophilic Design podcast. Well, thanks for joining us today at the Journal of Biophilicdesign.com. We're really thrilled to be joined by Hobie Hare, who's founder of Your Life Nature. We were connected by Maureen Calamia, who's is another podcast on the Journal of Biophilic Design. So I suggest that people who are listening and watching that they look up that. Anyway, I think what you've written there, Hobie, is really lovely. If you desire more nature in your life, welcome home. I think it's really beautiful. And Hobie, thanks so much for joining us. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Great. You've done so many things. You've guided tours of national parks and other protected places. You're a nature connection speaker, presenter, and obviously a retreat facilitation services that you do. Can you, rather than me waffle on about you, maybe you could tell us about yourself, what your journey's been and how you come to do what you do?
Yes, I'd say the steady constant thread of my life has been connecting with nature and just discovering the joy and the passion, the excitement that being in a place provides all of us. And it started from running around the woods and the creeks of Richmond, Virginia, that area where I grew up, to grad school in Vermont, where it's a lot snowier and more colder and kind of scares everybody in Virginia because it's so wintry compared to where I grew up. But in between, I lived in Thailand, Japan, Australia, traveled all around Southeast Asia and went into Tibet at one point too. And what I was just really fascinated by as I traveled was that, no matter where we are, we've got this wonderful earth underneath our feet, different plants, of course, different flowers, different things growing according to the different seasons. And I was just really astonished by how little of the world I really knew just living in Virginia, number one. But the more I started traveling and living and working in other places, just how important it was to find ways to connect with other people. And sometimes if language was a barrier, it was through nature. And then as I lived in places like Japan or Thailand or Australia, and then later Costa Rica, the same thing. Nature brings people together. The seasons, the changes, the foods, the celebrations, the cultures that come from that. And I was an international educator, later left that for a while, became a park ranger in Yellowstone, where I could go full on helping people connecting with nature, especially kids programs, and then working with adults and multi-generational groups. And I just realized that nature's sort of like this common thread that connects all of us. And how can I kind of better understand for myself how it fuels and feeds and enriches my life? And then at the same time, how can I kind of transport that back out and help other people do the same thing and hopefully help them shorten that process? So my very long answer is that it's basically been a lifelong passion, and that has just really thrilled and excited me how I can bring nature to more people. And during this time of the pandemic, it's even more challenging, of course, but it's still very doable. But my company is Your Life Nature, and I'm just thrilled to be on this journey with other people.
That's really lovely. What is it about nature that's so special to you personally?
It's I don't know. I mean, it can be on some levels a metaphor for life, where there's storms, there's unforeseen, quote, disasters, and things that come your way that you could have been planning for or not. And other days, there's very peaceful things. It's like bluebirds and sunshine and rainbows and a nice ocean breeze and all these wonderful things that bring us joy and peace. But to me, it's just this bigger reminder that we can impose all we want, the human world on top of the natural world. But I remember an environmental person saying a number of years ago, Mother Nature bats last. And I don't mean to be apocalyptic about that, but my feeling is it's a lot easier, I think, to kind of go with nature's flow and learn how to kind of be in sync with the natural world rather than to push against it, force against it, and try to think that our agenda has to be the thing that works today and that dominates today. And I just feel like I've learned to surrender, and I've learned to kind of just watch nature's rhythms and flows. And that has helped me guide my life in a more purposeful way. And it can be very challenging at times, of course. But at the end of the day, it teaches me to be present and humble and to know that I don't have to do this journey alone. And nature has so many gifts and benefits for us that can help us have a more purposeful life instead of just running 24/7, multitasking, trying to get everything done and getting to the end of the day and feeling like you haven't gotten anything done important. And maybe the important thing that you didn't get done was you didn't give yourself any time to be outside and just breathe the air, smell the lilacs, eat cherries from the tree, whatever it might be. Share, something with a neighbor, a smile, some time together. And I believe that we're in a time where people are beginning to incorporate that more and more into their lives, the importance of slowing down and connecting with nature, and making it a crucial ingredient in their lives rather than something they do once a year on holiday.
Absolutely. I think that's a lovely way of putting it, that nature is life. The way you phrased that was just lovely. And also about spending time and just making time. For me, I'm advocating this, but last week was so mental for me, where I was working long hours, sitting in front of the computer, and I hardly broke any time up to go. And when I did sit outside, and when I have gone outside, it's just like, I know it's the phrase, like a breath of fresh air, but it's like
Yes.
it's an injection of energy and just space, and just like you said like time stops. It's like a sort of
Yes.
it's a moment which we've all experienced, and we should do it. We should make sure we make time for that more. Maybe we could sort of talk a little bit about what you do, Hobie, and how you work with people. And then maybe you could also tell us how you've seen people's lives changing after they've sort of engaged in nature.
Certainly. Well, working with people, it depends a little bit where they are. But what we initially do is we have like a get to know session or meeting. Usually it's by Zoom. That's what I prefer. It could be by phone if that works better. And I just really learn where people are and what are their struggles, what are their challenges, where do they feel stuck, what kind of changes do they want to make in their life. And I encourage them to give me one or two small changes and then one or two big changes. And what we'll decide is whether you're going to work for 3 or 6 or 12 months. And I feel like the most progress you'll see is in 6 to 12. But if someone is pretty clear about what they need and what they want, it might just be a shorter program. But what it involves is a series of Zoom calls or phone calls. And there's a lot of support in between. And I give people homework, but it's fun stuff to get you outside and connecting with nature. And we really focus on doable, easy, inexpensive things that you can do. And I think the best advice I can give to anyone listening in is just start small, start where you are. Progress is more important than perfection. And the whole idea is like building baby steps that can become regular habits that you look forward to rather than drudgery or, oh my gosh, Hobie told me I had to go do something in nature. I feel like, wait a minute, maybe that's not a good match. I'm exaggerating a little bit there. But it's just being a gentle coach and an encouraging person to support them, because maybe they go out and do something that is a little bit challenging or intimidating, and they come back and go, Hobie, oh my God, I don't feel like I really did anything. And I might help them get back out there and do it again, this time with a friend. But the big thing is just helping people open their senses, making things a habit, exploring and enjoying something that they're interested in, preferably with others. And that's where the magic all comes together. As far as working with clients and life-changing things that have happened, I work with someone who lives outside of Montana, and this person had the loss of their spouse about 2 years ago. And this person really wanted to kind of get back out there and become more fit and active and do some of the things that he enjoyed with his spouse before, and kind of to honor her memory. And it was challenging at first for him especially, but we just kind of broke it down. And as I got to know him better, got to learn more about what was so important about nature for him and his spouse, and just kind of ways to bring that love and that affection and care and memory into the things that he wanted to do. And so now he's been embarking on everything from walks around parks where they would spend time together, remembering her birthday and their wedding anniversary in different ways, going on walks to the beach, doing some trips that they had always wanted to do together that, because her life was cut short, they weren't able to. But he's just a different person. And I know he's still dealing with grief, as we all are when we lose someone that we love or we're close to. But I was like one more person on his team to help him address a really important part of his grief that helped him kind of refined direction and purpose in his life. And then my other example would be a personal one. I'm gay. I've been out for about 15 years now, but I left the career I love because I didn't think I could be out in myself, doing the things that I love, but also just be an out gay man. And so I left the Yellowstone area. I returned to a small town in Montana called Bozeman. It's coming out very slowly. And then I moved to Missoula. And the big thing is that I was really struggling. Like, how can I bring this piece of me that I've been kind of hiding, or I felt like I couldn't belong in the work that I did because I'm gay? And over about 8 months of a lot of inner work and work with other people, I kind of woke up one morning thinking, this is stupid, number one. If I can't be all of myself wherever I am, I'm kind of holding back my gifts. But the biggest thing that's happened is that I had a dream about grizzly bears, and working in Yellowstone Park, I'd seen lots of them, but I dreamt one night after, many tears and just struggling and trying to figure out how to do this, that there's a big snowstorm next to the house and that a grizzly bear crawled into this den next to the house. And the next morning in the dream, all the snow was melting. The bear came out. He was kind of yawning and stretching and doing what bears do when they come out of hibernation. And to me, the dream meant that, I can come out of where I've been sheltering and perhaps hiding or just not feeling like I'm ready. And I can bring all my gifts to the world. And it was powerful. And that was, for the first time in like 8 months, I had the biggest smile on my face. I probably rode a bicycle for about 20 miles and I didn't do any work. It was awesome. And I just feel like my life has begun again. And so I just feel like pay attention to nature, because nature is going to tell you and show you all the time, perhaps, where you might be stuck, what your obstacles are, but more importantly, what your opportunities are.
It's almost, sometimes you need a revelation in some way to, which obviously has come from your experience, I suppose, from being in Yellowstone and seeing the bears and all this kind of stuff. It sort of all feeds into your mindset, which then kind of fed into that dream, which then sort of, gave you the freedom to then go, oh, hang on a minute, that's me. I feel I can actually start again. I have been in hibernation. I have been waiting. I've been waiting. And actually now I can shake off the winter. I can shake off the cave, and I can be it's springtime now. It's sort of, I can grow and I can blossom, and what a lovely thing. I love that, and I love that. It's really, really wonderful. So you have a fantastic way of connecting nature to people, and you have the thing of wherever your feet are, which I absolutely, yes. I love that. I love that. I mean, can you explain what that means and sort of how it works, and how people can get involved in nature regularly? I know you've got a nature app. Can you tell us about that as well, please?
Yeah, so I'll start with the app. It's something you can get on Google Play or the iTunes Store, and it's called Nature Boy, and it's for everyone. And it accompanies some of my photographs, and what they are short visualizations and meditations that you can kind of take on the go. So if you just have 5 or 6 minutes, you can connect with nature, take a nature break. The whole idea is just to focus on the photograph, and in some there are montages which kind of cycle through. But the idea is that you can just enjoy those at your leisure and make them work on the go. There's a free version on one of the stores, and then there's a paid version on both. So I help people connect with nature no matter where their feet are. And what I mean by that is that it's kind of hard, I think, for a lot of people today to not multitask, to be as present as they can. And so part of that is just being grounded and centered and calm and focused. And to me, that involves taking what I call a nature break. And growing up in Virginia, that could mean going to the woods if you're camping and doing a nature break. That's not what I mean here. What I mean is that you're giving yourself some dedicated time. And some examples could be you use the Nature Boy app, for example. But more importantly, it's just surrounding yourself with things that you love, things that inspire you, whether it's a plant, a photograph of nature. I've got something on my desk here. It's like a Zuni bear, grizzly bear from the Southwest, seashells from North Carolina, other things from around the world. And part of it is just surrounding yourself with things that you love, with things from nature that remind you of a certain emotion or a certain feeling or a certain desire. So you're just kind of surrounded by that energy and the visual reminder of it all. Um, Other things that people can do to connect with nature would be, let's say you're working in a cubicle, and I've worked in cubicles a couple times in my life, and you don't have any views of any windows. You could just give yourself a 10-minute break every hour and a half, whatever it might be, and just get outside and walk around. Notice the sunshine, the angle of the sun at that time of year, the intensity of the sun, how dark and gloomy it might be, what the wind's doing. Can you smell anything on the wind? Do you notice any birds? And even if all you've got are pigeons and crows and sparrows, still you could watch and enjoy their behavior, because right now, of course, it's more mating season and it's nesting season, and some of them are fighting for territories and mates. And then come fall, of course, they're going to be flocking together. So even if you feel like you don't have a lot of biodiversity, there's still a lot of diversity within what you experience. So I'd say just get outside and notice with your senses what you're seeing. I encourage people when they take a nature break or whatever you want to call it, to leave your smartphone in the office. Bring a friend, that's okay. Practice doing things with the friend and not speaking for 5 or 10 minutes and just enjoying things. Have a small photograph of nature or a piece of art in your workspace. Have a picture that you can put in your pocket or in your luggage or whatever you're carrying to work and home, that you can look at when you're on the train or when you're stuck in traffic. It's just all these little things that we can do. And to me, I think that's where the magic really is, because if we can just train ourselves to take a break instead of getting one more thing done, I think it really helps us kind of lower blood pressure, stay calmer, more focused, relaxed. And then it's not like you got to the end of your day and you go, oh my gosh, yet again, I never made time for myself or for nature or for anything. I just slogged through the day and I'm spent and now it's dark. But even if you've had a day like that, I would argue that you can still get outside and maybe just take 5-10 minutes, look outside, see if the stars are coming out, see what phase the moon is in. There's so many things we can do to connect with nature, and it doesn't have to be grandiose, it doesn't have to be expensive. It just needs to be doable and easy.
Yeah, that's really lovely. Yeah, it's really true. I think there's lovely tips, as you say. I mean, I've got rocks. I don't know if people can see that in the thing. I've got rocks from the beach. I've got conchers and all sorts of things. And I've got an old beech tree thing that fell off, you know, when I was on one of my walks. It was around on the floor and I've carried it. I've got another one over there, sort of just little bits. And it's just lovely. And obviously this is the Journal of Biophilic Design, and everything is about using biophilia, using elements of nature in design, in your home space or in an urban space or in just where you are. So how you can benefit of using. And so, I mean, maybe we could sort of just go on to the photography side of things.
Sure.
And obviously people who have been on the Journal of Biophilicdesign.com website, they'll see that obviously I've got photographs that I take on their sort of landscape images, and the same thing with the whole views, you know, is really good for our mindset, because if we're stuck in a little tiny cubicle or in a normal room, a normal office,
Yeah.
view, I advocate putting them on the fridge, because that's quite nice. We always go to the fridge, so we kind of, at least we've got a portal to nature, you know, every time we go for the milk or whatever it is. But your photography is lovely, and again, for listeners, I'm going to post some of your images on alongside this podcast. So if people want to go to the Journal of Biophilicdesign.com and search for the podcast with Hobie Hare, you'll be able to see Hobie's lovely photography. I mean, maybe we could talk a bit about that. Obviously, you're a photographer like me. I mean, how can you explain sort of how imagery of nature, you know, can have an impact on people's homes and work environments and mindsets?
Certainly. I think for a lot of people, if you look around at your home and your rooms and your workspaces, maybe a big indicator of needing more nature in your space is if you look at a photograph and it's not inspiring, or it just feels like it's drudgery, or it's a hand-me-down, or it's something you inherited, and it just doesn't give you life that might have meant something of great importance to someone else, and you know, maybe you're holding on to it out of obligation, or you feel bad about getting rid of it or finding a new home for it. But maybe that's the kind of place or space that would really benefit by having something that's more attractive, whether it's just a watercolor painting, reproduction of flowers by Gauguin or by, someone else. Or it could be Ansel Adams' beautiful photography, something that speaks to you, maybe to your bioregion. And I would just play around with that first of all, and just think about, as you're looking at different websites or different people's photographs, imagine, what would that bring to your office? What would that bring to your life, to your space? Would it bring contemplation? Would it bring peace or serenity? Would it bring excitement or adventure or courage, whatever it might be? And I think we're all drawn to those scenes in nature that remind us of different things. There's one picture I believe you're going to show called Old and New Growth, and it's a Western red cedar tree, very tall and mature and probably not much longer on this planet. And then next to it is sort of like a baby cedar tree growing up right next to it. And so to me, when I see that photograph, and we've got one on our wall, it shows like this intergenerational connectivity of life. And at some point, we're the teacher, sometimes we're the students, sometimes the roles switch. And then sometimes we're feeding and supporting and nurturing others so they've got their best shot in life. And I just feel like I see so much in that photograph as an example. And there's other ones too. Of course, I've always been a big fan of Ansel Adams and other people. And I could spend hours in a nature museum or any place where they've got prints and photographs like that. But I just say experiment with where you are and kind of decide, what do you need? What do you want in your workspace? Do you need courage? Do you need calm? Do you need more focus? And then see what you can identify as a photograph that can help you embody that and remind you of that. And I just love photography. I mainly shoot without any artificial light and without a tripod. And I actually use old style film for the most part. And I'm just thankful that there's someone in Montana who can still develop the film. And then I put everything onto like a CD, and then I can process it from there. But to me, it's like the discovery of what's on the roll when it comes back from the developer. It's almost like Christmas Day, like, wow, this is cool. This is a surprise. Or, oh my gosh. But it's just so much fun to just get out there and to notice the light. And that's what I encourage people to do too. Photography, one time I heard someone say, it's just really about being a vessel through which the light is expressed. And I love that. And my feeling is just that go outside and take some time, even if you're not a great photographer. I just kind of notice the light different times of year, how it might illuminate a tree in your yard or your neighborhood, or the houses or the horizon. I think photography in many, many ways is a gateway to help people connect with nature, and it's just a wonderful gift.
Yeah, I think, and you definitely have a lovely gift, Hobie. I think you really have an eye for capturing moments. I think you're right. I think for me, photography is all about the light. It's all about it's all about the light. It's almost like sort of sculpting with light. And I think when people, I think obviously Biophilic design, we're always talking about natural light. As much as we can. If you can sort of work in as much natural light as you can, or let open the drapes and let as much natural light in, it's really, really good for us. So actually just sort of taking that one step further and doing the same thing when you're outside. And obviously photography, photos being Greek for light, it's obviously a thing. You're painting with light, you're graphos, you're writing with light, photography, which is what it is. So preaching to the converted here, but yeah, I think it's a really great idea for people to go out and capture, elements on their walk as well if they want to, but like you say, if you can take a camera with you as opposed to your telephone, just so you give yourself a break is a really, really, really good thing. I mean, I've got an image. You're saying about having images around you that mean something to you. So right in front of my eye line, just above my computer, I have an image of I was in Kenya, not Kenya, sorry, I've been in Kenya, I've worked in Kenya, but I was in Uganda, and I was traveling on the west side of Uganda to visit the nomadic tribes for a project, a filming project. And I've got this, and I was talking to somebody, and I've got this, it's a beautiful there's tarmac, and then the tarmac stops, and then the red earth goes off, and there's lush greenery on either side, and then the mount, there's sort of these green hills are kind of going off in this sort of blue-green horizon. So you've got this sort of yellow-green and rich green at the front, and then you go through. So your eyes drawn through. But for me, it's nature, it's a view. So I'm not, because I haven't got a window this way. But like you say, something that means something to you, that really, that. Is there another image that you've got that you would like to talk about? That, and you said about the two trees. Is there an image that you've taken? I mean, just sort of in nature that's really meant something to you.
Yes, I'll talk about one that you'll be sharing. It's called Resilience, and it's of a tree that's kind of bent in the snow.
Yes, yes.
And I took that last December. I was taking a private group to Yellowstone over the holidays, and I've seen that tree before in the winter, but it was just really special this past year because I kept thinking about the pandemic and how this tree is kind of bent over, and it's kind of probably been beaten up a little bit by bison and other animals, and it's sticking up out of the drifts, and then the sun was just shining on it perfectly, so you could see the shadow, and there was deep snow all around it. But to me, it's like this tree still had this incredible power to live and to find a way to keep going and to keep growing. And to me, that's been sort of like a reminder through this pandemic that, yeah, we might have thought we were going to go this way over the past year, but maybe we grew more here or here in our hearts and in our souls and our spirits. And kind of going back to the whole hibernation idea, but the idea is that nature finds a way. And I believe that we always find a way too. So to me, that's just a good reminder that, yeah, it could be brutal winter and things look stark and dark, but there's this tree that has enough roots and has enough things happening underneath the ground, and it's still getting everything it needs, and it's just growing a slightly different way to, I guess, make a living. And I just love that image too. And then the wolf tracks photograph is great because that was one of the first photographs I took that got this universal response. People going, "Oh my God, that's such a beautiful photograph." That inspired me to take a second look at what I was doing and thinking that, I could start putting my work out there and help more people connect with nature because I'm getting this great response.
Yeah. As you say, the tree bending under the weight of winter and stuff, but it finds a way. Like you say, we're all part of nature, and just like us, we do find a way. We do. Well, I'm gonna save the last question I ask everybody for a moment. But is there anything else you would like to share with us today, Hobie?
Yeah. First of all, thank you. It's really great to be here with you, with everyone in your community. We're all doing important work, so just keep on doing it because it's really crucial that we all work together to help more people have access to nature and the things that give us our nourishment in life. And I encourage people to go to my website if they'd like to and download and listen to a 30-minute recording. It's called Don't Just Do Something, Sit There. And it's what we call a sit spot meditation, but I encourage you to go to my website and to download or listen to that. And it's a 30-minute journey that helps you connect with the transformative and healing properties of water. And it's just a wonderful way to just kind of get a sense about what I do and how I help people. And you're welcome to share that link with anybody you like. It's yourlifenature.com.
Okay.
And from there, you can click on the media button. There's also some other free media goodies there too.
That's lovely. And I will share the link on our website as well, the journal biophilicdesign.com. So if you didn't pick it up just now, just click the link in the podcast title, and there'll be a link to Hobie's website. And he says all the goodies that are on there that you can download for free. And they're beautiful gifts, Hobie, to people. So thank you for sharing those with us. So yeah, I suppose I don't want to say goodbye, but I'll get you back. Yeah, just a final question, really, and it's the sort of mad, fun, beautiful question, really, that I ask people. If you can brush the world with this sort of magic brush of biophilia, what would it look like? What would people's lives look like?
Yeah, well, I feel like people miss out and they suffer to some degree when they don't have access to clean water, clean air, a healthy soil, a clean environment, a safe environment. And so what I would wish for everyone would be that there's less separation between inside and outside, indoors and outdoors, where you can really invigorate your senses, and you can smell the changes of the seasons. You can perhaps, put your feet in the sand or in the dirt and it's safe, or go to the local market and eat something that's local and fresh and seasonal. And to me, it's a place where you do have this wonderful lighting. You do have this wonderful circulation of fresh air, clean water, ideas, community, and this intergenerational aspect, which I think can sometimes be missing in our busy societies. And I would love to see just more people have access to the things that feed their souls and nourish them, and make that a priority. And I know that's going to look differently in different parts of the world, but to me, like a big part of being in Montana coming into the summer is that we have cherry trees that are blooming and producing cherries, and then the apricot tree is the same thing. And so for me, one of the big things is making pies and giving them to all of our friends and neighbors. And it's kind of madcap, but it's just part of building community, and also just enjoying the bounty that we have. And I think we live in a bountiful world and we have plenty to share. So let's just do more of that.
Thank you for listening to the Journal of Biophilic Design podcast.